Hello. Welcome to this wonderful weekend. I know how it is when like-minded neo-thinkers get together to enjoy and to learn, to share, to meet friends, lifelong friends, and I wish I were there with you. In my later years, I've had to keep a low profile, but I know how wonderful it is. 37 years ago, I was at my live NeoThink event in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I remember what a remarkable experience I had rubbing elbows with people like you. So I want you to enjoy your weekend, enjoy getting to know one another. I have something very special to talk about today with you, to share with you. It's my direction now. But I'm going to start with talking a little bit about the NeoThink movement. Now, most of you here, the majority of you, are members of the NeoThink movement. And those who aren't, I really strongly recommend you talk to the other NeoThinkers here today and get to know what it's all about. Because it's life-changing and it's extremely valuable. And the goal of the NeoThink movement, as you know, is to bring into the real world what you read in my trilogy, Super Puzzle. Now, what is the underlying theme of Super Puzzle? What is the goal, the end goal of Super Puzzle? Do you remember the very last page of that book? And do you remember the very last page of the epilogue of that book? Well, I don't want to be a spoiler for those who are still reading a book, but it's clear throughout the entire book from page 1 that this is about the value of the human life, the human individual, each and every one of us. We are the most valuable thing in existence in the universe, each and every one of us, to ourselves, and our family to ourselves, and our NeoThink family to ourselves. So when you have the greatest value in the universe, it's our responsibility not to let that great value perish. So the theme, the goal, the essence in Super Puzzle and in my life since I was a young man is my responsibility, our responsibility is to prevent death, to cure aging and death. And that is the theme of Super Puzzle. Now, I want to ask you, do you recall, as it's been quite a while since you have purchased and read Super Puzzle, but I want to ask you, do you recall my letters that I sent to you after you had purchased and read or were reading Super Puzzle? Your next letter from me said, Super Puzzle is written in code, and I want to decode Super Puzzle. And indeed, when you received your next 2 manuscripts from me, NeoThink with 1 treasure key, and then NeoThink with 2 treasure keys, I decoded Super Puzzle. Now, let's get in and let me explain to you exactly how I decoded Super Puzzle. Let's go back to my goal in life. My goal, those of you who are in my relatively new course, Inside Mark's Mind. It's a monthly course that several of you now belong to. You well know what is on my mind constantly, relentlessly, and that is the goal expressed in Super Puzzle. My goal, man's greatest responsibility, as far as I am concerned, is to save, preserve the greatest value in the universe. You, your life, me, my life, our loved ones, their lives, our Neothink family, their lives, eventually the world, individual people's lives. So that's the theme. And as those of you in my course, Inside Mark's Mind, my monthly course, see that loud and clear. That is always on my mind. So when you received Neothink 1 with the one treasure key, what did you find in there? You found techniques. You found secrets to removing stagnation from our lives, from making that was seldom known differentiation between a value producer and a value creator, and distinguishing the difference between the two, and the techniques to take you from a value producer and have you leap into a value creator. Now, why is that so important? And why is that part of decoding Super Puzzle? Here's why. Most of you have read my secret formula, I call it in my writings, to curing aging. Do you remember? There's 3 components to that. 3 steps, three components, 2 causes and 1 effect. The first cause, or the first component to the secret formula to curing aging, is to take the human being on a journey from a value producer to a value creator. And once that happens, once that leap is made, then that person no longer experiences stagnation. Instead, that person experiences exhilaration. And why is that? Because, very simply, creation it belongs to the human mind and nothing else in our known universe. That is our essence. We are the only animals in the animal kingdom. We are the only thing in existence that can create. We can create. We were born to create. Young children are creating. We get stuck as we grow older and into the workforce because of all the reasons I explained to you in Neothink 1. We get stuck in stagnation where we aren't creating. We're producing value. We're earning a living, but we aren't on a vector of value creation. And value creation is our essence. Value creation separates us from everything else. And that's what brings us exhilaration, makes us want to wake up in the morning and go and affect the world. Suffice it to say that value creation, and you have all read my work, so you understand this, is the essence of being a human being. And once you are into that vector of creating, stagnation just leaves our lives and exhilaration enters our lives. Okay, so why is that the first step or the first cause to the first component to the 3 components of curing aging? Because people must feel exhilarated to want to live forever. I have a good friend. I brought the subject up about our mission to cure aging and extend lives and eventually achieve biological immortality. He had no interest in it. Why? Because he has a stagnant job. He goes and he does the same chores, the same staid routines over and over again every day. He doesn't have a vector value creation in his life. So he doesn't want to extend his life. He doesn't want immortality. But I do, and I know many of you here do. And if you don't, that is not your fault, because we are not in a Neothink world. We are in what my father used to call an anti-civilization. Just look around, listen to the news, We are in an anti-civilization. There is suppression from the ruling class, big business, big government, big tech, and it suppresses us into these routine ruts where we're stagnating. Neothink 1 gives you the techniques and the secrets to break free of that stagnation and to enter the world of value creation. And so does the Neothink movement. They work very hard on that, on helping you one-on-one break out of the stagnant world into the exhilarating creative world. So that's part 1 of the component. Now, when you're exhilarated, you can't imagine dying. Did Steve Jobs want to die? No, he made a brief reference to it in his Stanford speech. However, he didn't really want to die because he's such a creative individual. He wanted to continue creating. That's what creators do. They live and they want to create. They're always in the creation cycle. So part 1 to our greatest responsibility, as far as I am concerned, to curing aging, the whole theme of Super Puzzle was decoded in Neothink 1, and that's removing you from stagnation and lifting you into creation, where you feel exhilarated, you want, and you demand, and we create this huge demand as we spread this around the world. We create a huge demand for longer life, for life extension. As more and more people learn Neothink, the secrets and the techniques, and they leave behind the world of stagnation. Again, the Neothink movement is a beautiful place to be. Now, what does Neothink, my manuscript Neothink 2, the 2 treasure keys, bring you? Well, it brought you a deeper dive, because how important that is to your life, into this evolvement, into this leap into value creation. But it also brought you something else, and that's the second component of curing aging. And what is that? Many of you in here were involved in this, specifically, in this paradigm shift. Okay, so you turn on the news today and you're horrified by what's happening to America and what's happening around the world. Horrified. That's the ruling class. And the ruling class has one fundamental, irreducible, fundamental thing that enables them to be a ruling class. Go ahead and say it out loud if you know what that is. Initiatory force. And what have I brought to you in Neothink 2? The prime law. And a while ago, we had a very strong campaign, grassroots campaign, for the prime law. We developed a party called the 12 Visions Party, and we had a robust campaign. And the whole purpose of the 12 Visions Party was to bring awareness of the prime law. Now, we've scaled back the 12 Visions Party, but I do think it will rise again when the time is right. In any case, the prime law in Neothink 2 brought you the whole paradigm shift, the whole treatment of removing the ruling class. What is the ruling class? It's what suppresses the working class and the retired class. It suppresses us down in this anti-civilization, in this world of stagnation. The geniuses of society are suppressed, can't rise up, bring to us enormous prosperity. I use a analogy to the early personal computers and how computer power accelerated at such exponential speeds, and that's because initially the computer world was not, the ruling class couldn't get a handle on regulating it. And I use that as an example of how quickly everything across the whole industrial landscape could advance, driving prices to fractions of what you're living under right now, to where basically every person, once you free those geniuses of society to go, the prosperity explosion is going to be so great that all of us will be living wealthy lives. So, all right, so now you may have a clear understanding of what I did with NeoThink 1 and NeoThink 2. I decoded the entire message that was in Super Puzzle. And that's the beauty of the NeoThink movement. They work hard on this decoding. They work hard one-on-one to bring to you what I want to be brought to you. This exhilarating life to where it's a life worth living forever. You don't want to give it up. And it can't come fast enough, right? I'm in my mid-60s. Can't come fast enough. Now, having brought up my age here, as I've gotten older, my children have grown up, and now I have grandchildren on the way. The urgency of my goal has taken on much more serious implications to myself. I knew I had to solve the conditions of those first two components of curing aging, of removing the stagnation in our lives to desire and want the demand to grow and want to live longer and to eventually live forever. And I had to develop a paradigm that would remove the suppression that blocks the technological advancements that will get us there to curing aging. So I feel that I have accomplished that in NeoThink 1 and 2 to help the actualization of Super Puzzle. And my massive Prime Cure, which some of you own, 2,800 pages. And by the way, that would have been about 3,500 pages, but that was the largest page count any binder in the world could handle, was 2,800 pages. And I had to use an extremely thin paper to handle that. So some of you know what I'm talking, some of you have the Prime Cure. The Prime Cure really goes all out, bringing to you what I'm talking about right here now, about decoding Super Puzzle and the techniques and the process and so on and so forth to cure aging. My subtitle at the bottom of the Prime Cure is "We Can Have Forever." So we're at a point now where, or I am at a point now where I have to ask myself, how do I accelerate this process? I'm 60, well, in 1 month I'll be 65 years old. How do I accelerate this process of curing aging? And, you know, I keep a low profile. I've explained, well, you all know why. You've read my writings. The political world has become so extremely toxic that is downright dangerous. And I know what I must produce and create and get out to you, and I can't have that disrupted with, say, a big political legal battle of some sort or other. I'll just leave it at that. So I wrote and put out a new book fairly recently called The New World. Some of you have gotten it. I have not marketed it aggressively. I'm purposely holding back The New World from a lot of eyes at this point. But when I wrote that, the political paradigm was up front in that book. And things had become so toxic, I had to move it to the back of that book to, in a sense, camouflage it just to serious readers who were so integrating with my works that they would continue reading on to the later pages of that 650-page book. And those are the people I could trust reading my political dynamics. Because I know that to achieve the formula to curing aging, the political aspects, the prime law movement must really get going out there. And by the way, just before I move further on that, the third component, as you all know from reading my literature, to the formula for secret formula of curing aging, is the physical cure itself. So first you have people, the huge demand built for longer life, for life extension, for immortality, by bringing people from all they've ever known, stagnation, the routine rut, up into this extraordinarily exhilarating vector of creation. Okay, so we build a huge demand for immortality. And then we remove the suppression. Remove everything you see when you turn on the news. We remove the ruling class. And how do we do that? Through the prime law. Through a prime law amendment to our Constitution. But that's become almost a seemingly impossible task, particularly with the direction our country has gone in. The deep socialist direction, the more and more aggressive ruling class. So, where do we go? What do we do? And that's been very heavy on my mind. So, my speech here to you today is to let you know exactly what my next move is. No one knows this but the people sitting in this room, the 200 plus people here today. We need to get the prime law out there, the prime law paradigm. We need to get the political movement out there. But it's too toxic, it's too polarized, therefore there's too much focus on both ends of the polarization. There's nothing that's going to change that, right? But here's the approach I've figured out and that I'm going to pursue. It can be almost a shock to you, in a sense was to me, to see people out there who are so caught up in politics and the ruling class and control, political control, big government control, yet to see them in some ways just so aligned with Neothink and our goals. Sounds pretty contradictory, doesn't it? In fact, that irony still just to this day blows me away. But let me tell you what that is. If you do some research, you will find that some of the most liberal, all right, let me take that back, because I don't want to get on one side or the other, because politics on both sides really personally disgusts me, because I know what the bottom line of it all is: control, power, initiatory force, right? Regulating our lives, suppressing us, telling us what we can and cannot do. We just pulled out of that whole COVID shutdowns, lockdowns, and just controlling our lives like we've never experienced before in America. But we have very wealthy people. Do the research. Billionaires, some of the richest people in the world. They have a little secret society of their own, a little secret club. As I said, research it. The more you research this, the more amazed you'll become. These folks, they want to live forever. I'm talking about the multi-billionaires out there. I'll mention some of their names to you in a little bit. But they actually hold meetings. They actually have their own little secret society, their own little club, and they pour hundreds of millions of dollars into life extension research. So, I really got thinking about that. I say, wow, we really align, don't we? we may be miles and miles apart politically, and they would very likely be very turned off to my political writings. A lot of them simply just don't know any better. It doesn't mean they're awful, terrible people, but it means that they've been brainwashed, or they get political advantages by supporting certain politics, for whatever reasons. But we do align on that one point of immortality. And their desperate desire, the more you research these guys, and why wouldn't they want it? They're wealthy, they're very creative. Aside from their flawed political viewpoints, they're extremely exhilarated, excited about life. They don't want it to end, very simply. It's more than just greed. Trust me, it's the feeling they have from living life to the fullest. So, because I don't have any political connections whatsoever, I can see people, and you've read in my writings how I have worked with people in the entertainment field who are so far left it would make your head spin. And I've worked with people who are so far right it will make your head spin. But these people all love me. And why is it? Because they get a sense that I'm just trying to help human beings. I do not have a desire or a vested interest in any political position whatsoever. In fact, I am the anti-politics. The prime law ends politics as we know it. It turns it into a business. Now, I know that sounds incredulous, but just you read, and a lot of you have, my Prime Cure writings, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here. So, what I did is looked at what these people want most, these world's richest and most influential people. What do they want most? They want to live forever. Now, I know that's a lot I just bit off, and a lot for you to hear, but it's true. So what I've done is I've formed a plan. I'm going to approach these people, and I'm going to point out that there is no way they're going to achieve in their lifetime what their greatest desire in this world is. There's no way, because progress is slowed to such a halt. There's the thick web of regulations in all countries around the world, sticky, thick web that slows down and stops and eats alive progress. And I very clearly show them, if they want to achieve their goal, they have to adopt the prime law. They have to go with a prime law country. Now stop and think about that. A prime law country. Well, I more or less have given up on that idea because of what it would take, the influence I would need. The most I was hoping for is down the road a prime law amendment to our Constitution. But take a step back for a moment here and think about the people I'm talking about here. Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Peter Thiel, Sergey Brin, Larry Ellison. I'm talking, these people want to live forever. They're the wealthiest and most influential people in the world. Now, I can offer an approach that will accomplish their goal within, I would guess, within a decade, within their lifetime. How would that happen? Well, let's take these richest people in the world, and I will approach them to pool their money And with the kind of money you're talking about and influence you're talking about here, the Jeff Bezos, the list of the people in the secret club, they could purchase territory, a fairly good sized territory from a country, it doesn't matter which country actually, and they could set up a country that basically runs through the prime law, making that their supreme law, once they understand what that's all about. And without the regulatory bureaucracies, without the ethicists, without the legislature, without politicians, bureaucrats, ego justice judges, without all of this in this prime law country, it would very quickly become the medical mecca of the world. And that's what they want. They don't care about all this politics. That just gets in their way. And I will show this to them. And then they can come in and form a country. And with their influence, these are the richest, most powerful people in the world. With their influence, they could get sovereignty. These people, I couldn't get sovereignty. I couldn't go out and purchase a big chunk of territory, but these people could. And why would they listen to me? Because I am offering them the avenue to get what they want most in this life of theirs. They want to extend their lives. They don't want to die. And I can demonstrate to them very clearly that they will not achieve that in their lifetime in this world, in this country, in any country in the world. They need their own country, their own micro state. And with their money, with their wealth, their influence, they could do that, and they could achieve sovereignty. They can establish the prime law. And what I do is I will present them now with that angle, with their mystical blocks out of the way, their politics out of the way, and they're just seeing it from their greatest desire in life, from that angle. Then, and only then, can they understand the prime law and what it can do for them. So do you see what I'm doing here? I could never talk politics with these guys. I know that from my experiences in, for example, in the entertainment world. I can't talk politics with these guys. I am very good friends with a person who was one of the largest donors to the Obama administration and then to the Joe Biden. Very good, very close friends, but we can't talk politics. He knows where I stand on my dislike for politics. And I know someone who you all know. By the way, you know all these people, but I don't have permission to mention their names. He's a very conservative actor. He's a very religious man. You see him on Fox and Newsmax all the time. And he is a very, very good friend of mine. And again, we don't talk politics because I don't believe in politics and politicization at all, period. But they love me, I love them, and I understand where they are blind to seeing what is. Remember that in the super puzzle? Seeing what is. But this angle I just read to you comes in kind of like in Atlas Shrugged. When the plane comes into the gulch, no one could see that, but they knew the angle and the way to fly in there. That's what this letter, and this is what I am going to do with these wealthy billionaires. That is my next move in life. No one knows that. Only the people sitting in this room know that. Steve Rapella, my right-hand man, knows that. And my immediate family knows that. And my NeoThink family now knows that. So I'm going to give you the website. very simply, it's Cure to Aging. That's CureToAging.com. CureToAging.com. You'll see my open letter, and I have plans for getting that letter into the hands of these people. Oh, and by the way, and you will also see the massive website that they are going to see. You don't have to go through all that tonight. You can just get a glimpse at it. And a lot of you have read some of this material already in my NeoThink 2, or if you have the Prime Cure, you would have read a good bit of this in the Prime Cure. But you don't. This is not homework. It's just there for you to peruse as you would like to. Very few people know of the website yet. It's pretty much brand new. At these NeoThink gatherings, oftentimes there are some very powerful people, and they tend to kind of keep a low profile at these. But of these 200 plus people listening to me, if there are some of you very powerful people who may be keeping a bit of a low profile, you may contact me directly if you have access to these people. Again, I'm going to give out to just this room my personal email address. Please don't give this out to anyone else. This is just for you, my closest watched NeoThink family. That's mark@neothink.com. That's my personal, informal email, and I will work directly with you on this too. All right, so hey, it's been a real pleasure. Give this a little time to soak in what I talked about here today. Now, this is not setting by any means the tone of the rest of the weekend. There's a lot to cover. There's 10 very important subject matters. I'm so happy to see the 10 mentors covering with you in a workshop-like format this weekend. This is going to be very valuable to you, as you shall see. It's been a real joy. I haven't spoken on camera for over a decade. It's very rare that I do this. I may never do it again. I just don't know. I've always kept a very low profile, and I've kept a lower profile than usual in the past few years. So it was wonderful for me being able to get in front of a camera and know that you are watching me right now. I would love to someday meet you. We will see if that day will come. I still do have an open mind to that. That might be somewhere down in the future. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Enjoy the website. Enjoy each other. I really, really enjoyed 37 years ago being with people like you, staying up. I stayed up so late talking to people, to my neo-thinkers. Got very little sleep, but it was so worth it. Anyway, I love you all. Thank you, and have a wonderful weekend.